Good morning and welcome to what will be the first of many Just Good news versions of what I normally produce. So instead of me producing a newspaper of sorts where you can read about the news, I'm going to sit and read it aloud for you. So everybody is in isolation right now, or at least they should be. So let's have a little bit of positivity. Let's have a little bit of joy. Let's have something to put a smile on our faces during these dark times. So I've picked out 10 stories this morning and I'm just going to simply read them aloud. So we've got 10 fantastic stories for you. We have Guy quits job and sells everything he owns just to travel with his cat. Nice story there. Internet raises $160,000 for a restaurant owner that was featured in the Fyre Netflix documentary. Mystery Good Samaritan picks up hotel bill for 70 homeless people in Chicago as temperatures drop to record-breaking lows. African man delivers thousands of litres of water to drought-stricken animals. Penguin swims 5,000 miles every year to reunite with the man who saved its life. Man with Captain America glass eye shows it off to Chris Evans himself. Underwater restaurant has been completed in Norway and it looks out of this world. Retired engineer buys an Airbus that will never take off to make dreams come true for the poor in India. Colombian town turns down $35 billion gold mine because they prefer a clean environment. And very finally, I'm going to leave it on a typically millennial note. 20 things you should stop wasting your time doing in your 20s, some of which may be relevant to the current climate. So sit back, relax, I'm just going to speak them, read them, and you can just enjoy your Sunday morning. So kicking things off with Guy quits job and sells everything he owns just to travel with his cat. This is an article on Healthy Food House, which is healthyfoodhouse.com, and it's written by HF Admin, so I assume one of the admins of the site. So here we go. Traveling with your dog or cat is probably the last thing that comes to your mind because you have a job and a lot of daily activities. That's not the case with Rich East. He quit his job and sold his belongings to travel with his cat, Willow. Rich and Willow have enjoyed beautiful sights across Australia for 2.5 years. I'll be putting some images up so that you can enjoy this. Rich woke up with the idea to quit his job and sell everything. Willow is a rescue cat and has travelled more than 50,000 kilometres across the country. They have been travelling in a camper van since Rich left his home in Hobart, Tasmania. I've been pronouncing that right. Willow is actually living her best cat life. The duo have reached South Australia and the cat has visited 6 states and 2 territories of Australia. They sailed the Great Barrier Reef and camped on mountains in Burketown, Queensland and the Northern Territory. Some said his adventure is peculiar, but Willow has nothing to complain about, and she has a tracker. The cat is usually on a collar and enjoys her time on the camp. So that's the first article. Nice cheery thing to start the day. Next article we have Internet raises $160,000 for restaurant owner from Fyre Netflix documentary. So even if you missed the news about Fyre Festival when it went viral back in 2017, chances are you'll have heard the name again recently. The disastrous cancelled music festival which led to bankruptcy, widespread money loss and a 6-year prison sentence for founder Billy McFarland has been found subject of 2 recent documentaries on Hulu and Netflix. One of the people affected was restaurant owner and Great Exuma resident Marianne Roll, who prepared food for the event. I had 10 people working with me preparing food all day and all night, 24 hours, she said in an emotional interview for Netflix's Fyre, the greatest party that never happened. I had to literally pay all these people. Well, her situation has clearly captured the heart of the internet. A GoFundMe campaign set up by Roll has now flown past its target, raising close to $160,000 in just 8 days. The campaign was verified by GoFundMe on Twitter itself. This has been an incredible outpouring of support for workers affected by the Fyre Festival, said a GoFundMe spokesperson. As ever, we'll be working with the campaign organiser to make sure funds get to the right place safely and smoothly. The director of Netflix's documentary, Chris Smith, confirmed to BuzzFeed that there are also plans to create a campaign for the other Bahamian workers involved with the festival who lost out on money. On Sunday, Roll took to Facebook to thank her supporters. So this was an article in Mashable.com. Does it have an author? By Sam Hysom. So I'll put this in the below section. Next up, we have an article from the Evening Standard written by Bonnie Christian. Mystery Good Samaritan picks up hotel bill for 70 homeless people in Chicago as temperatures drop to record-breaking lows. A mystery Good Samaritan has stepped out to save 70 homeless people from record-breaking cold temperatures in Chicago by paying for their hotel rooms. The Chicago Tribune reports people were camped out overnight in tents after their propane tanks were confiscated in temperatures as low as minus 32 degrees centigrade. The city, gripped by polar vortex, was expected to be colder than Antarctica, Alaska, and the North Pole, as the wind chill plunged temperatures further to feel more like minus 45 degrees. The Salvation Army spokesperson Jacqueline Rachev told the paper that the group had set up a makeshift camp using donated propane tanks to keep warm when one exploded. After the incident, the Chicago Fire Department removed all of the other tanks as well because they posed a risk. Ms. Rachev said that they were preparing a makeshift warming center at the downtown Chicago Salvation Army. She was notified by the city that an unnamed donor would pick up the entire hotel bill. All the folks here, some wonderful citizens, are going to put it all up for them in this hotel for the rest of the week, she said. Only one person did not accept the offer, instead opting to stay at a warming centre, the paper reported. So nice story there. And obviously the message is very clear. Keep warm, even during these very difficult times. Next up, we have an article from Lad Bible by Claire Reed. African man delivers thousands of litres of water to drought-stricken animals. A farmer from Africa spends his spare time delivering thousands of litres of water to thirsty animals struck by drought. Patrick Kalonzo Mwala, a pea farmer, helps keep animals alive at the Tsavo West National Park in Kenya, which has been hit by severe droughts for the past few years. Using a special water truck, Patrick started off bringing in 3,000 gallons of water 4 times a week to ensure the animals had enough to drink. But in recent times, he and his friend Nina Paletti from Canada are having to bring even more water to these parched animals, sometimes having to make daily visits. Since his story first hit the headlines back in 2017, Patrick has set up his own foundation so he can help even more animals. What a lovely fella, eh? Speaking to the Dodo in 2017, he said, "There is completely no water, so the animals are depending on humans. If we don't help them, they will die." He said he first got the idea after visiting Park during the summer months and seeing how dry it got, with watering holes completely dried out and nothing for the local wildlife to drink. "We aren't really receiving rain the way we used to," he explained. "From last year, from June, there was no rain completely. So I started giving animals water because I thought if I don't do that, they will die." As well as doing the water runs, Patrick also visits local schools to talk about conservation and how they can help the country's wildlife. He added, "I was born around here and grew up with wildlife and got a lot of passion about wildlife. I decided to bring awareness to this so that when they grow up, they can help to protect the wildlife." The animals have become used to Patrick's visits, and he says now they anticipate his arrival. On one occasion, he arrived at a watering hole to find 500 buffalo waiting for him, desperate to get a drink. Sharing his incredible work on social media, Patrick is hailed a hero for his efforts, and is quite rightly praised for all his hard work. See, the world isn't as bad after all, is it? You can find out more about this project or donate some money in the link within the link that I'm going to put below this video. Next up, an article from gtgoodtimes.com, written by Good Times. Penguin swims 5,000 miles every year to reunite with the man who saved its life. In 2011, João Pereira de Souza, 73, found a dying penguin on the beach. The man quickly took the penguin to his home and nursed him back to health. But he never thought that his act would start a lifetime relationship with the penguin. When he found the helpless creature, the penguin was on the verge of death and starving as he lied down on the boulders. The poor penguin was also fully covered in black oil. It took João a week to clean the sticky oil out of the penguin's feathers. After the penguin regained his health, the old man released him back to the sea. However, the penguin came back to the beach the very next year, where he immediately recognized João and returned home with him. Ever since then, the penguin never fails to come back every year and swims as far as 5,000 miles to meet his savior. The South American Pagellanic penguin, that's a new word for me, who is named Dindim by João, would spend 8 months with João before going back to the coastal area of Argentina and Chile for breeding season. In an interview with Globob TV, João said, "I love the penguin like it's my own child, and I believe the penguin loves me. No one else is allowed to touch him. He pecks them if they do. He lays on my lap, lets me give him showers, allows me to feed him sardines and to pick him up," he further added. Dindim's daily diet consists of fish like sardine, which João believes will give the penguin the strength it needs. Dindim usually returns to the island where João is staying every June and leaves to his home in February. Every time he sees João, he will wag his tail and honk at him with joy. Biologist João Paulo Krajewski was also impressed with the unlikely yet close bond between them. He said he'd never seen such a relationship before and believes that Dindim has thought João as his own family, and his behaviour is consistent and similar with a penguin meets another penguin. Even better, the expert also said that Dindim might have thought João was a penguin just like himself. Who'd have thought it? Next, an article from Lad Bible written by Daisy Phillipson. This is Man with Captain America Glass Eye shows it off to Chris Evans. You could argue that in the superhero era that we're currently living in, there is nobody of superfans more dedicated than that of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You've got people watching Infinity War a worrying number of times. It's not that worrying. Theorists working day and night trying to figure out clues to the next MCU installments. And then there's this guy who has a special Captain America themed glass eye fitted, surely a sign of true devotion. Congressman Dan Crenshaw, a US Navy veteran who lost his eye in Afghanistan, met with Captain America star Chris Evans when he was at Capitol Hill this week in Washington, D.C. The Houston representative saw his chance and pulled the A-lister to the side, lifting his eye patch to reveal the MCU glass eye. He posted a couple of snaps of the moment alongside the caption, "When Captain America sees your Captain America glass eye." Fellow Twitter users were quick to comment on the post, with many referencing his political stance as a Republican. "That's badass. I don't care what your politics are," wrote one commentator, while another stated, "Opposite end of politics, but fair is fair, and that is an incredibly cool glass eye." That said, many have criticised Evans for retweeting the snaps with the caption, "A very cool use of vibranium." "You need to Google people ahead of time," wrote one Twitter user. Until the media reported about it late August, Crenshaw was a moderator of a Facebook group that promulgates conspiracy theories and racist memes, like the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. Another said, "We're not meant to let the villains have it, Chris." Others jumped to the actor's defense. "We're not cancelling Evans for not obsessively researching everyone he encounters to see if they're fashy." Whatever your take on the matter, there's no denying the Glass Eye tribute is a solid example of just how passionate some of these MCU fans really are. And while Captain America rubs shoulders with the Washington elite, Captain Marvel is kicking butt on the silver screen. Aside from Brie Larson's starring role, perhaps the most exciting part about the film's release is that we're given one of the biggest plot details in Marvel's cinematic history as we find out how the Avengers crew came about. If you haven't seen it already and you're a Marvel madhead, we recommend you go and check out the film in cinemas ASAP. This is a year old. Okay, moving on. We have an article here from boardpanda.com written by Lee Nefas. Underwater restaurant has been completed in Norway and it looks out of this world. The first, the largest, and the most research-friendly. Under is the world's biggest underwater restaurant with a total seating capacity for 100 guests. It's the first of its kind in Europe, and it also functions as a research centre for marine biology. I'm going to pronounce this very wrong. The Schnurrhetter designed dining experience started operating just yesterday, but people are already adding it to their Norway destination lists. In Norwegian, under means both below and wonder. Half sunken into the sea, the building's 111-foot-long monolithic form breaks the surface of the water to rest on the seabed below. Taking it a step further, the structure is built to eventually fully integrate into the marine environment, as the roughness of the concrete shell will function as an artificial reef welcoming limpets and kelp to inhabit it. Thick concrete walls allow it to withstand pressure and shock from the rugged sea conditions, and, like a sunken periscope, the restaurant's massive panoramic window offers a view of the seabed as it changes throughout the seasons and varying weather conditions. Under is a natural progression of our experimentation with boundaries, Schnurrhetter founder and architect Kjetil Trædal Thorsen said. As a new landmark for southern Norway, Under proposes unexpected combinations of pronouns and prepositions and challenges what determines a person's physical placement in their environment. In this modern architecture building, you may find yourself underwater over the bed, between the land and sea. This will offer you new perspectives and ways of seeing the world, both beyond and beneath the waterline. The restaurant focuses to create a fine dining experience based on high quality, locally sourced produce, emphasizing on sustainable wildlife capture. Danish expatriate Nikolai Elitsgaard from the acclaimed restaurant Maltid in Kristiansand is the head chef, bringing an international 16-person kitchen team with experience from top Michelin star restaurants. In Norway, Lindesnes is known for its intense weather conditions, which can change from calm to stormy several times a day. Upon arriving at the site, the visitor's impression of the unruly outdoors quickly dissolve as they are ushered through into the hushed, oak-clad foyer. The rich interior design creates a warm, welcoming atmosphere inside the restaurant. As a metaphor for descending from land to sea, textile-clad ceiling panels reference the colours of the sunset dropping into the ocean, accompanying one climbing down the stairs. Moreover, the unique design of the finely woven ceiling panels provides the building with a serene ambiance. The furniture perfectly represents the philosophy of the whole project as well, to build solid structures for the future without compromising the natural beauty that lies inherent in the raw materials. But Under isn't just a restaurant. The building also houses a marine research facility. It welcomes interdisciplinary research teams that will be able to study marine biology and fish behaviour through cameras and other measurement tools that are installed on and outside the facade of the restaurant. This will be able to document the population, behaviour and diversity of species that live in the surrounding areas. The goal of the research is to collect data that can be programmed into machine learning tools that monitor the population dynamics of key marine species on a regular basis. According to Schnoheter, Under is the story of contrasts, the contrast between the landscape and the sea, as well as above and below. The project underscores the delicate ecological balance between land and sea and draws our attention to sustainable models for responsible consumption. It emphasizes the coexistence of life on land and in the sea and introduces a new way of understanding our relationship with our surroundings, above the surface, under the water, and alongside the life of the sea. For most of us, this is totally new world experience. It's not an aquarium. It's the wildlife of the North Sea. That makes it much more interesting. It takes you directly into the wilderness. Rune Grasdal, lead architect of Under, told Die Zine. If the weather is bad, it's very rough. It's a great experience. And to sit here and be safe, allowing the nature so close to you, it's a very romantic and nice experience. The idea was to make a tube that would bring people from above sea level down under the sea, Grasdal said. That transition is easy to understand, but it's also the most effective way to do it. It also feels secure, but you don't feel trapped. So there's a nice story there. Once the quarantine's over, get yourself over to Under. Next up, we have an article in goodtimes.my. This is retired engineer buys an Airbus that will never take off to make dreams come true for the poor in India. This is by Aina Najhar. Low-cost carriers have seen increasing popularity among Indians in the past years, but there is also a large part of the population in which boarding an airplane remains a far-fetched dream. However, thanks to retired engineer Bahadur Chandgupta, India's poor population now gets to have the chance of boarding an airplane for free, but there is one thing: the plane never takes off to any destination and stays on the ground. The 58-year-old man worked for Indian Airlines as an engineer before he retired. Coming from a small village in Haryana, there were not many people from his village who could afford to take a flight. "I belong to a very small village in Haryana," Gupta said. "When I was working, people from my village used to ask me about aircrafts. Many of my friends in my villages used to ask if I could take them inside an airport so that they could see the aircraft from close quarters, as they could not afford to travel in an Airbus." That inspired him to purchase a decommissioned Airbus 300 in 2003 for 600,000 rupees, which is roughly $7,866 US. His intention has only been one thing: to give the poor people of India the chance to board an aircraft, something that most of them could only ever dream of doing. Parked in New Delhi, the out-of-service Airbus 300 is often visited by mostly children and those who are excited to have an experience of boarding a plane. Even though the aircraft never operates, the visitors are still given tickets in the form of a boarding pass. They are even treated to complimentary suites by the aircraft's flight attendants. According to Gupta, visitors who come from the lower class can board for free, while those who are in the middle class are charged $1 US. He also gives a demonstration of how to handle an aircraft and how to evacuate the aircraft in case of an emergency, including exiting the airplane by using the functioning slide. "I train people for the emergencies. We teach them how to save lives in case of fire and how to jump from the aircraft," Gupta said. Thanks to his creative idea, many of those who cannot afford to buy a flight ticket now get the chance to see how an airplane looks, and at least once in their lifetime. That's nice. Penultimate story now. Colombian town turns down $35 billion US gold mine because they prefer a clean environment. This is from whitewolfpack.com, and its author is unknown, but here we are. A small Colombian town has just rejected a $35 billion gold mine project, putting people and the earth before profit. Around 98% of the residents in Cayamasa said no to the mine due to concerns over the environment and water pollution, and Colombian mining minister German Arce doesn't seem too happy with the results. South African company Anglo Gold Ashanti aimed to build the gold mine called La Colosa in central Colombia, and it could have been the biggest gold mine in South America. The national government was in favour of La Colosa, saying mining is vital as they recover from war with Marxist rebels. But residents of Cayamasa, where the mine would have been located, overwhelmingly rejected their project in a recent referendum. According to the BBC, 19,000 people live in the town, and only 76 locals voted in favour of the gold mine, while 6,100 voted against. Local 21-year-old student Camila Mendez told Mongo Bay before the results were in, "I voted no for the future generations. I have 2 nephews of 7 and 3 years old. Even though they do not live in Cayamasa, I know that I want them to come and enjoy the little I've been able to enjoy so far, as it concerns the countryside. If we win, we'd show them complete world of Cayamasa is able to defeat a huge multinational enterprise, a mining monster as Anglo Gold Ashanti." But Arce said campaigners misled voters. He said Anglo Gold Ashanti had been issued an exploration license already, and that license would remain valid. Local authorities may control the land, but Arce said the national government controls any underground riches. Anglo Gold Ashanti still needs an environmental license, and if this is awarded, Arce would be able to take it up to the courts or the country's Congress to decide if local or national authorities would win the fight. So there you are. Locals fear the mine would damage the mountain environment of the area or pollute the water sources. So a little bit of a result there for the environment. Final article now. I'm not sure if I'm going to read the whole thing. It's pretty long, so I'm probably going to paraphrase a little bit. But 20 things you should stop wasting your time doing in your 20s, a time that I remember well. This is an article from thoughtcatalog.com by Becca Martin. So number 1, deciding your worth based on your social media likes. Yes, stop it. You're not what your likes are. You are who you are. Be happy with that. Number 2, constantly comparing yourself to your friends. Again, why compare yourself to your friends? You are who you are. Be happy with that. Number 3, staying in relationships because you're scared to be alone. There's nothing wrong with being alone. Be alone. Enjoy that time. We have a long lifespan ahead. Be happy with what you've got. Number 4, feeling the need to justify your choices. Again, you don't need to justify what you do. We as human beings have 2 control mechanisms over what we do and what we think. If you decide that you need to justify what you do, why? There's no need. Be happy with your choices. Number 5, looking for reassurance that you are enough. You are enough, because the idea of you being not enough is an infinite possibility. Be happy with what you are. You are enough. Number 6, allowing anyone to tell you that you're not capable because you're young. Everybody's young at some point, but guess what? You have just as much ability to do what you want to do as someone in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even into their hundreds. Everybody can do whatever they want if you just put your mind to it. Why not? Number 7, still hanging out with toxic people. You know what they're like. No, you can't do that. No, that won't work. No, that's a bad idea. Sounds harsh, but cut them from your life. They will just bring you down. Say yes, yes, yes. Number 8, letting other people's fears dictate your decisions. Again, why are you worrying about someone else? If they're scared about something, so be it. You don't have to be. It's like bungee jumping. Some people do it, some people don't. But you don't have to not do it because your friend doesn't want to do it. Be happy with that. Number 9, talking about improvising your life but never doing anything about it. Again, you make your own decisions, you make your own choices. You want to do something? Do it now. Tomorrow is never going to come, so do it now. Or as Shia LaBeouf would say, just do it! Number 10, never leaving your comfort zone. Again, get out of your comfort zone. Do something that you've never done before. Be inspired. Just try it. 11, keeping your life cluttered. Seriously, stop hoarding. Get rid of stuff. Marie Kondo had the greatest idea. Only keep stuff that's genuinely useful or brings you joy. Everything else, bin it. Get rid of it. Give it to charity. Whatever. Don't clutter. 12, doing things out of obligation. Again, you're not obliged to do anything. If you want to be kind, be kind. If you want to do something useful, be useful. But you're never obliged. You do it because you want to do it. 13, thinking you need to know everything right away. Hey, I'm the greatest example of this. We don't know everything, and nobody does. So learn, keep learning, don't stop learning. And then when you feel that you have enough knowledge, then you're happy to feel confident about it. 14, thinking you need to be married in your 20s or your life is one giant failure. I'm not married yet, and many people I know are not as well. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with feeling like you're a failure. Guess what? I've been down at the bottom, many people have, but you get back up because it's all up here. If you decide you want to get back up, get back up. It really is that simple. It is as simple as that. 15, not taking time to heal. Listen, we've all been hurt. Everybody's been hurt at some point in their life. It could be recently, it could be a long time ago. But you have to heal. You have to let yourself heal. If you need assistance with that healing process, there are people that can help with that. But don't just put a band-aid on and hope for the best. Give yourself that time to heal and heal properly. 16, judging the shit out of everyone. Seriously, stop judging people. I've worked in sales for many years. Prejudging is the worst thing that a salesperson can do, because the next person you meet, you might think that they're X, Y, or Z, but they're actually A, B, or C. Never judge. There's no point. And what's more, when you point one finger, there's 3 more pointing right back at you. So don't judge. 17, deciding you'll only do things when you have the money or lose the weight. Listen, you're never going to have enough money. You're never going to be fit enough. So just do it now. Just do it. Shia LaBeouf style. 18, being afraid to ask for help. I'm British. Many people watching this are British. We are the absolute worst at this because we've got that stiff upper lip. Just ask for help. There is nothing wrong with asking. If you ask, if anything, I respect you more for doing that. 19, acting like you're never wrong. Again, I've been guilty of this. I'm sure many people have as well. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. It's okay. You don't have to pretend like you're the source of all knowledge. Just admit it. Simple. And finally, 20, stop hanging out with people who aren't going anywhere in life. This is similar to toxic, but a slightly different angle. If you hang around with people that are going nowhere, they have no ambitions, they're very, very comfortable in, their very mundane living, you will end up that way. The only way that you can aspire to greatness is if you hang out with people with similar ambitions in life. I'm living here in London at the moment. I look out the window and I see young kids on the street, huddled up. It's inevitable, isn't it? If you stay in that situation, you're going to stay in that situation. If you decide one day, actually, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an astronaut, whatever it may be, then you have to break that kind of pattern. So take that under consideration. And that's today's news. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that it wasn't too boring. I'm going to try and do these as much as possible because it's good for me to keep busy. It's good to have some positive news. And I hope you all are making the most out of your isolation and stay positive. stay social. You know, we live in a golden age of technology, so speak to people on webcam, phone up your family, phone up your friends, do a FaceTime, do a Zoom call with 50 other people, you know, whatever. Stay social during these times, but for the love of God, stay home. Any of you right now could be a carrier of the virus. You wouldn't even know it for another 2 weeks because you touched a handrail, you know, shook someone's hand, or you were unfortunate to be in the radius of someone sneezing. You wouldn't even know. So please, let's help to solve the problem. Stay indoors, give it 2 weeks. Let's hope that this country can quell the problem, and the world can quell the problem, and let's just work together on this, yeah? Let's stay positive, let's stay powerful, and let's, you know, get through this together, eh? So thank you very much. I hope you've got a smile on your face from the news today, and have a great Sunday. Thank you so much. And for all the mothers out there, happy Mothering Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.